During the interview with Jimmy Fallon, Paul Rudd shared his excitement about his return to the Avengers franchise, revealing he would reprise his role as Ant-Man in Avengers: Doomsday. Jimmy Fallon kicked off the conversation by jokingly welcoming Paul back to the show, remarking how it never seems to get old. Paul responded lightheartedly, admitting that it did get a little old, but still appreciated the warm reception. The conversation quickly turned to the major announcement about the Avengers movie, which was met with cheers and applause from the audience. Paul humorously pointed out the tiny director's chair with his name on it, joking that it was a nod to his Ant-Man character. Although he playfully expressed some discomfort over the chair's size, he acknowledged that it was fitting, as it was finally a chair that would actually fit him. When asked about the movie's details, Paul was quick to mention Marvel's secrecy, stressing that he couldn't share much. His playful explanation drew a comparison between the movie's confidentiality and military secrets, emphasizing how significant and serious the project was. The conversation then shifted to more personal territory when Jimmy recalled their encounters, particularly at Billy Joel's final concert at Madison Square Garden. Paul spoke warmly of his admiration for Billy Joel and recalled a humorous yet memorable experience with Adam Scott, where they had tried to get Billy Joel to play his song from Bosom Buddies as it was performed on the show. Paul shared how they had awkwardly asked him to change how he played the song, but Billy Joel was gracious and kind, even inviting them to dinner afterward. The meal turned into an unforgettable evening with clams caught by Billy Joel himself and wine at an Italian restaurant. The tone of the conversation shifted to more recent events, such as the SNL 50th anniversary celebration, where both Paul and Jimmy had performed. Paul humorously admitted to still feeling nervous in such high-profile settings, despite his extensive experience in the industry. He reflected on how surreal it felt to be in the presence of legends like Keith Richards and Jack Nicholson. Paul vividly described an unforgettable encounter with Jack Nicholson, where they had to kiss each other as part of a scene in a movie. Paul shared that Nicholson, ever the professional, surprised him by giving him a kiss on the lips when they first met, a moment that left Paul both amused and starstruck. The discussion turned to Paul's upcoming projects. He briefly touched on Friendship, a movie where he stars alongside Tim Robinson. Paul shared that the film, while still a bit mysterious to him, would explore themes of loneliness and connection. He described Tim Robinson as one of the funniest people he's ever worked with, noting that if fans enjoyed Robinson's work on I Think You Should Leave, they'd likely enjoy the absurdity of their movie. Paul also teased another project, Death of a Unicorn, before the interview wrapped up, promising to share more details soon. Throughout the conversation, Paul's charm, humor, and relatable self-deprecation were on full display, making for an engaging and entertaining interview. His candidness about the absurdity of some of his experiences, paired with his genuine appreciation for the people he worked with, gave the audience a deeper glimpse into the man behind the star. For those of you who have already subscribed over the last couple of months, thank you guys so much. We've been gaining subscribers here at Maxiverse Twist, and if you have not already, I also noticed that 99.6% is watching in this channel have not yet subscribed already. I would just kindly invite you to do so. It's like the #1 thing you can do to support me as a content creator in the channel. And of course, you gotta be subbed to see more latest updated videos. What did Paul Rudd really think about the tiny director's chair for Ant-Man in the new Avengers movie? Paul Rudd had quite the witty take on the tiny director's chair made for his character, Ant-Man in the new Avengers movie. The chair, much smaller than the ones used by his fellow cast members, quickly became a talking point among fans and media. When he saw a picture of the little chair, Rudd couldn't help but laugh and joke, saying, "It's clever, sure, but it's also a little emasculating. Tiny chair for the tiny guy." He then added with a grin, "But hey, at least now there's a chair that actually fits me when I sit down." The whole thing was playful, and Rudd didn't seem at all bothered by the joke. In fact, he seemed to embrace it, seeing the humor in it all and rolling with the tiny chair punchline. It was just another way Rudd showed his signature charm, finding the funny side of his character's unique size-shifting abilities. The tiny chair, it seems, was more than just a prop. It was a fun, lighthearted nod to the character, and Rudd was totally game for it. How did Paul Rudd and Adam Scott convince Billy Joel to play his own song in a hilarious Bosom Buddies recreation? Paul Rudd and Adam Scott managed to convince Billy Joel to play his own song for a bosom buddy's recreation through a mix of fan enthusiasm and a bit of comedic persistence. They were working on a project for Adult Swim called The Greatest Event in Television, where they recreated famous sitcom openings, and one of those was the opening for Bosom Buddies, which features Billy Joel's hit song, My Life. Though Paul and Adam were huge Billy Joel fans, they had never met him, so they didn't have any direct connections to him. But they reached out through agents and lawyers, and to their surprise, Billy Joel agreed to participate. Paul recalled that when Billy arrived, they didn't have a specific plan, but the idea was to have him perform My Life as it was originally heard on the show. Here's where the humor kicked in. As soon as Billy Joel started playing, Paul and Adam kept interrupting him, asking him to sing the song like the guy from the show. They were essentially trying to get Billy Joel to sound like the Bosom Buddies version, which must have felt pretty awkward for him, as he was singing his own song. Paul admitted it felt terrible, but they just couldn't help themselves. They were over-the-top excited to be in Billy Joel's presence, and couldn't resist playing the role of the overly enthusiastic fans. Despite the interruptions, Billy Joel was incredibly gracious, even going so far as to invite them to dinner afterward, and giving them more than the hour he had initially promised. It ended up being a surreal evening for both Paul and Adam, filled with clams Billy Joel had caught himself, and wine at an Italian restaurant. Truly an unforgettable night. What was it like for Paul Rudd to meet Jack Nicholson for the first time and share an unexpected kiss? When Paul Rudd first met the iconic Jack Nicholson, he couldn't have anticipated just how unforgettable the moment would be. They were about to work together on How Do You Know, playing a father and son, but the real scene stealer came before the cameras even rolled. Rudd remembers the moment clearly. Nicholson walked into the room, strode right up to him and, without missing a beat, kissed him square on the lips. Caught completely off guard, Rudd couldn't help but burst into laughter. He'd expected a handshake or a simple greeting, but instead, he got an unexpected kiss from one of Hollywood's greatest legends. "What an introduction," he said, laughing at the absurdity of it all. But that moment set the stage for their on-screen relationship, where the father-son duo shared more than just a few quirky, affectionate moments. Rudd later joked about the kisses in the film, saying that playing a character who greeted and bid farewell with such gestures felt oddly fitting. For Rudd, that surprise kiss became one of the great stories of his career, a reminder of Nicholson's unpredictable and larger-than-life personality, which made the experience feel all the more surreal and special. What began as a quirky greeting turned into a cherished memory of working alongside a true Hollywood icon. What's Paul Rudd's new movie Friendship about, and how does Tim Robinson's humor fit into the story? Paul Rudd's new movie Friendship revolves around a quirky and somewhat unconventional relationship. In the film, Paul plays a character who strikes up a friendship with Tim Robinson's character. Tim plays a man who is struggling with loneliness and, as Paul described, doesn't have many friends, whether male or female. His character is isolated, and when Paul's character moves in nearby, the two form an unexpected bond. The plot develops as their initial nights together are fun and filled with connection, but things quickly take a turn. There's a bit of an awkward twist when it becomes unclear whether their newfound friendship will last. It's a comedic exploration of loneliness, connection, and the complexities of forming relationships, with a lot of awkward and hilarious moments that come from those dynamics. As for how Tim Robinson's humor fits into the story, Tim is known for his absurd and offbeat comedic style, especially from his show, I Think You Should Leave. His humor, which often leans into the bizarre and unexpected, brings a unique flavor to Friendship. Paul mentioned that if you enjoy Tim's style from I Think You Should Leave and the oddball humor from a film like The Master, you're likely to find Friendship just as absurd and funny, blending those two kinds of comedy in a way that feels fresh and off-kilter. So, expect a lot of the strange, out-of-nowhere humor Tim is known for, but wrapped in a story about the loneliness of adulthood and the unpredictability of forming meaningful friendships. It's a mix of heartfelt moments and absurdity, which, with Tim's comedic influence, will likely make for a very unique movie experience. How did Paul Rudd handle the star-studded atmosphere at the SNL 50th anniversary? Did he still get nervous? Even with years of experience under his belt, Paul Rudd still gets a dose of nerves before stepping onto the stage at Saturday Night Live. Known as a member of the coveted Five-Timers Club, Rudd has hosted the show multiple times, but he admits that the anticipation before delivering his opening monologue still gives him butterflies. There's something about live television that always keeps him on his toes, no matter how many times he's done it. When Rudd attended the star-studded SNL 50th anniversary special, he was surrounded by some of the biggest names in comedy and entertainment, people like Tina Fey, Maya Rudolph, and Kristen Wiig. It was a celebration of everything the show had accomplished over the years, and the atmosphere was electric. Despite being a seasoned pro, Rudd couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment, soaking in the collective energy of such a legendary gathering. He also reflected on a more personal, humorous moment from his earlier appearances, his exuberant sign-off during the December 2010 episode. Rudd confessed that he had replayed it in his mind countless times, wishing he could do it over. It's a reminder that even the most accomplished actors and comedians, no matter how many SNL appearances they've made, still experience those little moments of self-doubt or nervousness. For Rudd, that blend of excitement and nerves is what makes the experience so special. And it's part of the magic that keeps him coming back to the show. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe for more exciting Maxiverse twist content.